Next up for our weapons is the shotgun. So we're going to move back to our weapons prefab folder. We're going to drag that shotgun out and drop it right onto the main camera. We're also going to make sure to disable our machine gun because we don't want that to interfere with our testing of the shotgun. And our shotgun starts off way off center, but that's okay. We're just going to set that position X, Y, and Z value to 0 to center it for us. And once again, we're going to rotate this thing by -90 just to get it to align with our camera properly. Drag it out, hit the game view, and wow, that does not look too good. So I'm gonna drag it down into the left or right a little bit, and that looks a bit better. Maybe a little bit further down and out. There, okay, that looks good to me. So now in the exact same fashion as we've done the previous few steps, what we're going to do is go back to our create folder. We're going to create a C# script. We're going to call this one shotgun. And we're going to drag that onto our shotgun object that we just added to the scene. There it is. Oop, no, we added machine gun. Wrong one. Shotgun. There we go. And we're going to open that up. So same as before, we're going to replace model behavior with weapon script. And this is actually pretty similar to our machine gun, so we're going to copy the machine gun stuff over this time. So we're going to go to our machine gun script, highlight everything, and hit Control-C and Control-V. Make sure, again, we're highlighting only between those two end brackets. We don't want to get everything, just the stuff inside here. And we'll copy that over, and there we go. So what we need to do first is adjust some of these variables we have here. So we can keep spread, we can keep fire cooldown and fire time. All we need to add is in the middle here a public integer num pellets. And that's because if you're familiar with a shotgun, they actually shoot, instead of one bullet, they shoot several small bullets. So we want to give this 8 pellets, quote unquote pellets, to shoot in 8 different directions. So now what we're going to say is inside our if current clip greater than 0 here, we're going to say for integer I equals 0, and then a semicolon after the 0, I less than sign num pellets, I plus plus, and a semicolon after num pellets, and then your I plus plus. And then outside of our parentheses, we're going to add our curly brackets. And what we just did is create what's called a for loop. So a for loop is kind of similar to a method in that it's going to run the code inside of these curly brackets. But what this does is says for as long as I is less than, where I is a number, for as long as I is less than the number of pellets, it's going to do the code between these brackets. And this I++ at the end tells the for loop that at the end of the code, it's going to add 1 to the value of I. So it'll start at I equals 0. It'll do the code once, add 1. Now I is equal to 1. And it'll do the code, add 1. And then I is 2, and continuing on until it's equal to the number of pellets, which is 8. So that means that while the number of pellets is equal to 8, the code inside these brackets will run 8 times before it continues on with the rest of the script. So now what we can do is actually just highlight all of this code from the end of our else statement here up to raycast hit. We can hit the Control or Command X button to do what's called a cut. And then inside of our brackets here, press Control or Command V. And what we did was just a cut and paste, which is the same thing as just copy and pasting, but deleting the code after we copy and paste it. But we want to make sure all this stuff is in fact inside of our for loop here. And perfect, that's all we need to do to our fire script. Now we need to go down and edit our process inputs a little bit. So we can actually keep this perfectly fine. That's great how it is. Although I want to adjust our fire cooldown to 0.5. That's because this is not a public value that we can adjust from the inspector, so we have to change it in our code. So we're going to change this to 0.5 because we want a much larger delay between shots of our shotgun. And we can keep our fire and fire time thing here the same. But now we actually are going to highlight and copy, and then paste again the same line. But we want to make sure we're inside our process input brackets. But we're going to change the get mouse button 0 key. We're going to replace that with 1. And then after our is reloading check here, we're going to say and current clip is greater than or equal to 2. And the reason for that is we are actually adding what's called an alternate fire option, or alt fire. And what that means is that when we hit the left mouse button, we want the gun to shoot normally as we'd expect, which is one shot. But a lot of games, and in our game in particular, a lot of times when you have a shotgun and you press the right-click button, it will actually fire a double barrel shot, or it'll fire effectively 2 shots at once, which is great for dealing tons of damage very quickly, but it consumes more of our ammo. So this is an option for if you want to just completely blow up an enemy that's in front of you, but you might have to then reload because you're using more of your ammo at once. And to make that work, all we need to do is take this fire line and duplicate it. So we can click after the semicolon here and press Control D, and now we have 2 fires here. And once we have all of that in our script, we can actually save, because that's all there is to it, thanks to reusing our code. And we can go back to our scene view, and now you'll see all of our fields here. And just like before, we've got to fill this out and make it look nice. So for this one, I'm going to choose a nice purple, I think purple looks really cool. Don't forget to get your alpha up to 255 there. Damage per bullet, I'm going to set to 2, because remember, we're shooting 8 bullets at once. So you want a lower value here. You guys, of course, can set these values to whatever you want. If you want each bullet to do 1,000 damage, go for it. Just keep in mind that that's going to affect how difficult your game is. You know, it's not very fun to play a game where every single bullet's going to kill every enemy in one hit. That's not super fun for anybody. So you want to keep them pretty low, and so as to keep your game's competitive balance in check. Next, what we want to do is adjust the current ammo. I'm going to set this to 48, and the max clip to 8, and the current clip to 8, and the ammo to add to 48. We can keep reload delay at 1, that's fine for now. Want to make sure to set our layer mask to default and terrain. We want to get our bullet hole prefab, just like we did before, from the weapons folder. So we select our shotgun and drag that bullet hole prefab. And then again, we want to grab our clip text and ammo text. Cool, so now that we've got everything disabled here and our shotgun enabled, we can go ahead and test the shotgun out. But before we do that, we don't want to make the same mistake we've made in the last couple steps. We need to add our audio source. So we're going to click Add Component and add that audio source. Go to Sounds and Weapons, find the shotgun sound, and drop that into the audio clip. Also make sure to uncheck Play on Awake. And once you've got that, we can go ahead and hit play. And we've got our shotgun equipped, and if I shoot, you see those 8 lasers fly out, and if I right-click, you see 16 fly out. And you'll also notice the UI is updating properly. We've got 4. If I left-click, we only lose 1 ammo, and if I right-click, we lose 2. And then I can go ahead and press the reload button. And it looks like, I think I might have noticed something incorrectly. Let's see. If I'm at 1, I'm at 0. Yeah, see, we don't actually fire our lasers. So this was a mistake on my part, and we're going to correct that now. And I think we'll need to correct this in all of our 3 weapon scripts here, but that's okay. It's a very easy fix. What we need to do is go into our shotgun, and again, all of our ammo, and we want to make sure we set this current clip to greater than or equal to 0. I actually took this out of our pistol script because I thought that was incorrect, but I would turn out to be incorrect. We want this greater than or equal sign. So we need to do that in shotgun. We also need to do it in machine gun and save, of course, and we also need to do it in pistol. So we want to make sure that we are greater than or equal to 0 in all 3 of these scripts. If we have that set up and we are greater than or equal to 0, then we are good to go. And we now have all of our scripts, or all of our guns set up. So the next step is going to be setting up what is called the weapon controller, which is going to enable you to switch between the 3 weapons you have, and instead of having to only have one enabled and only be able to shoot one at a time while in the game.